All right, everybody, we are back for another edition of Go Blue with Stu. I'm your host, Stu Douglass, here with Jon Teske. Jon, I appreciate you coming on. Where are you at? Tell everybody with the jersey in the back. That's nice.
With the background, yeah, I'm actually at my parents' house in Medina, Ohio. So, yep, back with them right now. So,
Nice. And you have like Indiana ties. Is that correct?
yeah, sort of. So, my
Sort of.
parents, both my parents went to Grace College in Winona Lake. And then when they first got married, they lived in Carmel. My dad worked downtown. My mom worked at Carmel Middle School, and
Okay.
so that's actually where I was born. It's also my older sister Hannah. She was born there too. But yeah, I only lived there for 2 years, and then we moved up to the Grand Rapids area, Grand Rapids, Michigan. So yeah,
Gotcha. That's funny.
yep.
I went to high school in Carmel. So
Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So all my friends, they're there. I'm still in Indy trying to hold on, not move to the suburbs. But yeah, that's a funny connection.
yeah.
So what'd you
My
say?
dad's my dad's always mad that we kind of left that area. He wishes I kind of grew up around that area, especially with the basketball stuff.
Hey, you
So
would have killed it. Indiana basketball, you would have had some fun at Carmel. Those years they were really good. And you would have just I think they even won a couple state championships. You would have been perfect fit there. That'd been pretty funny.
yeah,
I know our girls team at Carmel is like a feeder for Michigan. I know there's probably a couple girls there now they were before, so it's been
yeah. I
pretty
think
wild to see.
one or two of them is up there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
So what's going on with you? You're with the Lakeland Magic, and when does all that start?
So yeah, actually, this kind of like I guess would be breaking news for everyone too. But like, I really haven't told anyone. Like, I've really started to like transition from playing basketball into like the business world, I guess.
Ah,
Um,
okay.
Yeah, so this is really like the first time anyone will kind of hear this. I mean, obviously, besides like close family and friends, and some of the guys that also up in Michigan, but like ever since the season ended in April, I kind of took some time away and kind of fell in love with like I'm working with a family friend right now. I've actually really been enjoying it and really haven't looked back. Like obviously, this kind of going into it right now. This past year wasn't the best. Like and also stuff with COVID too, and
Sure.
as you kind of know, the G League too as a big man. I don't know, it wasn't the best opportunity fit for me, and kind of want to go in a different direction. So yeah, kind of like no one really knows. And
Yeah, that's big
it's
breaking
kind of
news, man. Yeah.
yeah, it's really kind of surprising to be honest. But yeah, I can tell people I've never been more happy in my life right now. So I've made a really good decision so far.
That's cool. Yeah, it seems pretty organic. Like you've thought this out. It's kind of been something that's been going on for a little bit now in your head.
hmm Yeah, definitely, and just kind of follow through with it. And yeah, I know faith's really important to me, and I know God's got a plan for me, so I can really trust Him in this time. And yeah, I guess a lot of people have kind of figured that out now that this is kind of going on. But yeah, it's pretty cool to kind
Yeah.
of explain my
Oh,
situation now.
yeah, that's big news. It's I want to get into what you're gonna do, what your kind of plan is. But I know for me, when I was sitting there, I was in Israel in my apartment alone in quarantine and just waiting it out, and that was my breaking point. And it would have
Yeah.
been in the works for a couple of years where like basketball just wasn't the same anymore. And then that was a
hmm
breaking point where I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm done. Did you have one of those, or it was just kind of something that just kind of kept inching along?
um, I mean, I gave the NBA a shot, uh,
Hmm.
especially during COVID too. That didn't really help. But I also did go overseas during COVID too, for about a week maybe, and I came back home. Um, and then just also the G League too. Like it's not a big man's league. Like I'm getting
Yeah.
4 or 5 shots a game, maybe. I'm setting screens. I'm rebounding. Guards are shooting 30 times a game. Like obviously, some people like still see potential in me, but like how much are they really just saying that, or like to keep me around, or like am I really that close? I don't know. Just up in there, I just turned 25. I want to move on. Sick of living out of a suitcase for 8 9 months out of the year. So
Yeah, I was actually just listening to your story on I think it was Maize and Brew, and it was your 10-day road trip, and then you went
uh,
on another road trip with the G League team, and you just weren't home, and you got home, and you're like, what is this? And yeah, that it's jarring to say the
yeah,
least. Like when you don't have a home like that, it's a little odd feeling. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Like explaining that situation, like I got the call January 1st or 2nd, and I didn't get home until like January 29th, and like
It's tough.
just on the road trying to figure out washer dryer situations in the hotel, like coming home, the food just spoiled. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. That is true. I didn't think about that part. You coming home, you're like, I gotta clean out everything in the fridge and just buy
Yeah,
whole new groceries. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
definitely.
yeah, the non-glamorous part of chasing your dreams. And especially in the G League where you're in a country where it's so dominated by the NBA and then so many other sports.
Hmm.
What do you feel like you gave it your full shot?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, like COVID threw a wrench into it, but like I still got a really good opportunity going to training camp with the Magic 2 years in a row,
Yeah.
like showing them what I have. Then obviously also winning the G League my first year. Like obviously scouts are going to the playoffs. Like even though I was in a bubble, like people were all in that one area, so they could all see you play. And I played pretty well in there too to win it. Like
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect, but to win like the G League, like just a step below the NBA, like that's pretty cool. But then also this past year, like we didn't have the best team, some injuries and COVID, but like also getting the 10-day, like I made the NBA. Like I can say I played in the NBA. I'm 6-0, undefeated. Like no one can say that.
I didn't
That's
realize
always
that
kind of,
part. Yeah.
yeah, that's something funny like I can say and like my friends always like kind of mention. And so like yeah, I had a good season and I don't know, just time for new change and yeah.
That's got to be like a sports trivia question. I think I'm going to add to my friends group where it's like, who's the winningest player in NBA history? No
The
minimum
minimum is
games.
6 games. Yeah, something like that.
um, yeah, it's been. I looked at your stats in the G League and I saw 25 minutes and 6 shots a game. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I know there's more space there. I know he's shooting threes. So when you got there, was it a lot different? I know there's, it's a different spacing, it's a different style, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Did you think that it was going to be different in terms of what your opportunities were going to be, and how the NBA is shaping into a guards league? I mean, was it completely different? Did they sell you on it, or it's just that's how it is, and didn't match up with what you wanted?
I think that's just kind of how it is. Like the 5 man, like you got to be really athletic as a 5 man, or like
Yeah,
undersized, like, or you're just like a behemoth and whatever. Like, there's kind of no in between, especially for a guy like me. Like, I'm not the most athletic. I can shoot it, but like they're looking for like high flyers. I feel like at 6'10", 6'11".
yeah,
But like with me being like very high IQ player, like I'm able to pass. I'm gonna like read the play before it happens. Like I think that's what really kept me around too, and just being in the right spot, being a good communicator, good teammate. And that kind of goes back to the Michigan days too, just and being a winner too. Like
yeah.
wherever I've gone, I've always won. And so, but yeah, going back to the playing style, like I don't know, just playing out of the high post area. I wasn't really posting up too much. Like obviously
Mhm.
mismatch, I'd go down the post, but like pick and pop, create create offense, and that's what I tried to do. And yeah, I mean, when I did get the opportunity to shoot, like sometimes I felt like I had to force a shot up. Like I haven't like shot the ball in a while, and
Yeah,
G League's all about numbers too. So that's the other thing guys look at. So
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
It's interesting to kind of like look back and talk about it too.
yeah. It's definitely a volume league, and you see like a lot of the guys I feel like come down, two-way players come down. It's like they're expected to put up 30 points, 40 points. And so
Yeah.
then you're in a tough spot where you're in a tough spot playing minutes and you got just so many moving parts. I did want to ask you, does it seem like you were really like in college, just having a lot of fun and you were kind of developing your game and it was exciting, but it is still a job. And I think basketball, my worldview changed in college based off how serious basketball got in college. And you did something wrong. It was like Beilein thought you slapped his mother. It was like it got real serious. And so it changed my worldview on
Yeah.
things. And I'm curious if it was even different going to the G League for you in terms of that excitement from basketball, that kind of passion. Did it change a little bit? Was it different from college?
Oh, the passion and excitement was always kind of there, but the big thing was too, like, first of all, like I go from playing in front of like what 17,000
Yeah.
at Chrysler, Breslin. You're playing in front of 100 people in the G League in Lakeland, Florida, like 200 people maybe.
Yeah.
Like that's the big thing. Like you're going on the road, you may have like 11 o'clock game for like Kids Day or something, like just crazy stuff like that. which is like unique, but like you're used to playing if you're from the Big Ten or ACC or something like that. You're used to playing in front of 20,000 a night. And then the other thing too is in college you spend so much time with each other, not just like on the floor but outside.
Mm,
Like you're at the AC together, you're hanging out, you're going to football games together. Like here, like you forget people have real like life. They have wives, they have
yeah.
kids. Like this first time I've played with people that have had little boys with like little girls, like kids come to our game, like their dads, like they come home and they have to provide for their family. Like I've always just been around like teammates, just like we're just hanging out, like no care in the world. But G League, that's the other thing. Like people have these families, and that didn't really hit me until this past year when we were all down in Lakeland. We were all kind of living in the same apartment. So kind of those big two things, like really like changed my perspective. Like obviously the passion and excitement for basketball was always there, but those two things outside of it, it's just kind of like whoa.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. I know that one of the two biggest things that were like shocking after like overseas basketball was one, in the warm-ups you could now listen to music with cuss words in it, and two was people with like families and kids and like
Yeah.
dealing with like 35, 38-year olds. I mean, I had a teammate my first year was like 38 and I'm like, what's going on right now?
What is this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little different. I did
Yeah,
want to ask you
definitely.
about overseas. Did you ever consider it? I know you were going to go to Ostend, and then that
Mhm.
didn't happen. What? Why didn't you pursue that more?
I'm more of a family person,
Sure.
friends person. Like I like obviously like I'm comfortable in my own skin, but like I'll I kind of rushed into that decision. My agent kind of called me. He's like, "Hey, I got a spot for you in Belgium." Like,
You signed in March, right?
yeah,
Pretty
it was
early.
like it was 2 weeks after we won the championship. So like
Yeah.
they were, he said they were going to play till at least they won it that year, so they were going to at least play to the first week of June. And so like for me, my process was like, hey, I can get paid also more time playing like professional basketball, like because the bubble was only like 20 games, maybe not
Mm.
even. So it wasn't like I was getting a lot of playing time or like a lot of games in. And so I was like, yeah, like I'll do it. Like, why not? I'll just, I don't know really why I said yes, basically like in a day. And like the following week, I was packing up ready to go. And it was crazy because it took me a week to get there before I was actually there because I needed, I don't know if I've ever told this story, but like it was when you had to get a COVID test within 72 hours of your flight.
Mm.
Well, my flight was like Monday and I got the COVID test Friday. And when I checked in, it was like the 73rd hour. They're like, no, you can't go on. So I had to call my dad to come pick me up from Cleveland. Had to get a COVID test that day. They changed the flight till Wednesday. I'd fly from Cleveland to DC and then DC to Brussels. Finally, Wednesday, I go there. I finally get to DC. The flight leaves at like 7 o'clock at night. I'm supposed to land on Thursday morning. I'm about to board the flight in DC. They say, no, you don't have the correct paperwork from the Belgium embassy. So
What?
I'm like, they're like, yeah, this is new within the last 2 days. Like no one knew. Like the team didn't know. I didn't know. So I was like, I don't know what to do. So like United had to take my bags off. They had to find a hotel for me. I was trying to connect with the people in Belgium. Well, meantime, this is like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning for them.
Yeah.
So I'm struggling to find, have to call my agent. So they're like, yeah, we'll send you the embassy paper like Thursday morning or whatever. All day just waiting in the airport Thursday. Finally get it. Finding the file out Thursday night in the Friday morning. And like I didn't know like talking to anybody like, hey, like make sure you get this in your contract or this. Like I was just in like regular business class, like
Yeah.
just regular like economy or whatever. I didn't ask for like first class or business class because I didn't know. So just in that, finally get there Friday. Old guy picks me up. I'm like, it's just like silent, like dead silent, because like it's still COVID over there too. And I'm like, it's like 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, where am I? So they pick me up or whatever. I go to the gym, meet the coach, and then meet some of the players. They played that night, but like I had to like quarantine, so they took me to my apartment. But like
Hmm.
it was the players before my apartment. Like he doesn't clean, so it was like smelly. And then I tried to
Oh,
take a shower. There's no hot water. I couldn't get used to the time change. I was struggling, And I think the only thing that kept me going was it was March Madness here. So like I was up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning just watching the 7 o'clock games here. I
Yeah.
was like, this is the only thing going. Didn't do anything Saturday. Sunday came around, and like I think I called my grandpa first because he's been like the most important guy in my life. And I was like, I don't think I can do this anymore. And told my dad too, and I finally called my agent. And he's like, yeah, you'll have to talk to like the coach, and like the coach tried to get me like at least I didn't even touch a basketball. He's like, let me just get you for practice. I was like, no, I can't do this. Like I've already had trouble getting here.
Yeah.
Trouble like I can't even do anything. COVID lockdown. I'm just sitting in my apartment. I can't get my PlayStation work. Can't get TV. Can't get anything to work. I'm just like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And then I had to get a COVID test back home. So I'm like freaking out about that because like I don't know how they'll handle that situation. Like, do I have to get it? Will they like apply it or like will they set it up for me? They finally set it up for me like Monday, and I flew up. I flew back Tuesday, and yeah,
Right.
it was a crazy like week and a half. I was like, just made a decision. Took a week to get there. Not even 5, 6 nights, and I was already back home.
Yeah. I tell everyone all the time, and even in my ninth year, you get there, you land, your mom, girlfriend, wife, whoever, how's it going? Well, it sucks. It's like the
Yeah.
first week, the first 2 weeks, like it's terrible. And then, things can change. But you're giving me like flashbacks of like the first time going overseas and how anxiety riddling it was. And I even went over with like a cracked back. So I was like praying to
Oh,
God that they just didn't cut me in the first month or so. And luckily,
yeah.
not luckily, but sort of luckily for me, they were going through a bit of a recession hangover still when I went over to Spain. So they're like, we can't afford to cut you and sign somebody else. So I got a little lucky there, but I feel for you, man. It is one of the most isolating experiences going somewhere like that, leaving everything you love, everything you know. And on top of that, you did it during COVID and like with the
Yeah.
isolation and quarantine. Like it's too much. It's just too much.
Yeah. It's to my I'm talking like my younger sister who I'm pretty close with, and some friends are like, I was texting them at that time, and they're like, "Yeah, I can't even believe you went over there in the first place, knowing you, John." Like, I was like, "Yeah, I don't know what made me say yes." Like, all I said was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll go."
You,
And like, yeah,
yeah.
I don't know.
If you could snap your finger and be there and practice in a day and a half and like have the accommodations ready, like it would be great. But you just don't know what you're walking into. That's the other thing. You're kind of going in
Yeah,
blind with the team, and it's kind of surprising because I've heard good things from Musta, so it's kind of surprising they kind of skimped on you a little bit. But it is COVID, so I think things were tight. So they
yeah,
were like, "Yeah, we're just gonna put him in this shitty apartment, and we'll see what happens."
yeah, definitely. I mean, they ended up winning it all, but like, yeah, it was not worth it.
No,
So
no, I can appreciate you knowing that and like you're resolute with all of this and at such a young age and like with your trajectory that you have with your skill, it's cool to see. You just all these athletes get a lot of crap, like football players especially, where it's like, why are they retiring? It's millions. He's worried about a
mhm.
little head thing, or basketball player retiring early, or whatever it may be. And it's like, no, I know I'm done. Like this isn't what my life is going to be. It's not going to be this forever. So it's really cool to see, you be able to stay strong in that. And I imagine that takes a pretty strong support system.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, playing sports my whole life. That's kind of all I know.
Yeah.
I come home. I love watching sports. I'm actually have the Indians, right? Indians, Guardians, whatever on right now. But I don't know. Just always been around sports and family, and that's been a huge part of my life, and still is, and I still want it to be. But yeah, just time to hang it up. Really, I've
Yeah.
had a great career, and looking back on it, I've been blessed to never been hurt, so I'm thankful for that. And
That is a win.
um,
That's a big
yeah,
win. People don't realize that's a
no,
huge win.
especially like the level that we've played at. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just thankful for everything that's happened to me.
Especially at your height. It's like
Mhm.
so easy to just get cut, undercut, whatever it may be. All the elbows in the world, you're getting hit. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is a blessing. All right, so tell
Hmm.
me what is next for you? What you been cooking up, kind of leaning towards now?
Yeah. So right now, I'd like to get into business or sales. I want to go back to the Michigan area.
Oh,
Obviously,
really?
my name's already out there, but also my mom's side of the family is from Grand Rapids, Michigan. A bunch of my friends from college to live up there, so that's where I'm looking at right now. Especially with the help of Michigan alumni and stuff that they have over there, and yeah, kind of searching and scanning for over there right now and see what happens with that.
Are you in contact with anybody specific within the program or within the alumni association?
Just the people that I have at was it the athletic center or whatever.
Uh-huh.
So those guys, and then I actually was up at the Michigan Hawaii game, so saw talk to Coach Howard and some of the guys like that, but I don't really know if I want to get into like coaching like that.
Yeah.
So that's, but obviously all those connections do help. So we'll see where it takes me.
Yeah, definitely. My mom begged me for like 3 years to retire. Just come home and be an assistant coach at Butler. And I'm like, I don't think it's that easy, Mom, but I would
Yeah,
if you could hand it to me and like tell me I'd be there for 20 years, I'd do it. But that's just not how it works.
yeah. Especially like my mom's like, well, you could go back and be a teacher. Well, I don't want to like I don't know if I'd want to teach, but like I don't want to go back to school right now. That's the thing. Like I just got out 2 years ago. And I still don't want to go back. Like
Yeah.
even for like, or if I started a GA, like I don't want to do any school, especially being out for 2 years now. I'm like, no, I don't want to
Right.
go back.
My dad at one point too is like, go back to law school. And I'm like, I don't think that's it. I don't think that's in the cards for me, Dad. But you're
Yeah,
looking into sales. Anything specific, or it's just kind of where you think your
just
expertise
kind
would
of.
be?
I mean, I don't really know. Like obviously, I'll have to learn and grow, but I think that's
Sure.
one good thing about me. Just like I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to grow. Like that's one thing on the basketball court you have to do. And I think always being on a team. I think being around a good team and having mentors I've had. Like if I was under a good mentor somewhere, like yeah, anything is possible. So
Dude, I can already see like billboards of Jon Teske, or like you have like the rectangle and then there could be like you taller than the billboard and it's kind of like a cutout of the top.
yeah,
I'm already
go
coming
for
up
it.
with marketing ideas. Hey, if you need somebody, I'm here for you.
Reach out. Reach out.
So I don't want to keep you too much longer, but I do want to get into some Michigan stuff. Your experiences with that, because you had a hell of a career, really very interesting stuff. And I'll have to have you on again to talk about all of it. But specifically, you were one of the few that have experienced both Beilein and Howard. And
Mm-hmm.
so I want to get into why you chose Michigan a little bit, but there's a lot of comparisons there. I think a lot of similarities. They're both very intense in their own different ways, but you would have a good perspective on that. Like, where are they very similar and where are they very different, do you think?
I mean, similar. I think they both know the game very well.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Coach Beilein didn't play. Like that's a difference I'll get into, and like Coach Howard played, but like they both they both do know the game very well. Um, they care so much about you. They'll stand up for you. They always have your back. You know that going in. They want you to learn and grow, and just not on the court, but off the court as well. Um, Obviously, a couple of differences. Coach Beilein was so like not old school, but like like
Sure.
can't wear backwards hats. You got to wear all the same shoes. You got to do this like, travel wise. Like Coach Howard came was like, as long as you got like Jordan brand stuff on, like I don't care. Like
Yeah.
you can just tell he's younger. Like Coach Howard played there. He knew like what we're going through outside of basketball. I think that was a big part. Like Coach Beilein was just basketball, basketball, basketball. Like Coach Howard came in, he knew like, hey, you got academics. Hey, you got social life. You got this and that. Like you got stuff outside of basketball, like inside the practice courts, you're locked in, you're locked into the game, stuff like that. But outside, like you have a life. Like well, sometimes Coach Beilein, like I loved him to death, but like he, I feel like he didn't think we had a life at times. Like there's just basketball, basketball, basketball,
Sure.
and now like and like obviously like that really did help us. And like looking back on it, like the little things, he's so catching the ball with 2 hands, like kept landing on 2 feet, like stuff I never thought of. Like I'm going back to my high school right now, like helping out and like watching this kid go off 1 foot. I'm like, guys go off 2 feet, and they're like looking at me like I'm clueless. Like I was like, I know, trust me.
Yeah.
It sounds funny, but like it really does help. And so I, I think it was very beneficial for both for me to have both coaches, especially like have Coach Howard like transitioning in my senior year, like going into the pros too, because all the language they use now
Mm-hmm.
is all the language that the pros use. So going to training camp with the Magic, like it was identical. Like I didn't slow down because Coach Beilein's office was all like zoo animals. Like that was nothing.
Right.
That NBA doesn't do that.
Right.
So it's just kind of funny.
Yeah. Was that easy? They was that was highlighted a lot when Coach B took the Cleveland job and about his lingo and everything. But was it just as difficult or pretty simple to transition from Beeline to Howard with the lingo?
It was pretty simple. Coach Howard just made every simple. Everything was like a ball screen or a pistol. Like
Sure.
you don't have any lions, tigers,
Yeah.
bears, like whatever,
Space it. Yeah.
whatever else he had.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what that was used because like as a 5-man in Beilein's office, I just caught the ball and waited for guards to cut. Like I didn't have to worry about what they were doing.
Yeah.
So like to be honest, I didn't half the time it wasn't even like affecting me. But guards like Xavier Simpson, like he had to change from one to next, and I know he's told me a couple times like it's really benefited him like going in training camp with the Thunder or the Magic too. And
Sure.
yeah, so just kind of gives us an up on guys that don't have like a kind of retired, I guess, NBA coach coaching their college team.
Yeah. That's an interesting point because that's like a week that you could be just trying to learn what the lingo is in training camp, and that can make all big huge difference. You don't want to be out there trying to think about like what does that mean again? Like you just want to react. So it
Yeah,
is a
you can just focus on the play at hand and not have to think first.
yeah, definitely. Why in the first place did you choose Beeline in Michigan? What attracted you with both of them?
Not just being close to home, like it's 2.5 hours from Medina. It's also at family in Grand Rapids. Like I said, it's 2 hours from there, but just the coaching staff that he had, Coach Meyer too, then Coach Washington that he has still, and I don't know, just the system they ran with the 5-man.
Yeah.
I was able to play inside and out. Like I can kind of like picture myself doing that. I knew like I could always shoot the three, but just being comfortable being able to shoot the ball more like that. Being able to learn and grow. Coach Beilein knew the game so well. And then also like obviously you couldn't go wrong with the academics, and I love the campus and
Mm-hmm.
the guys on the team when I did go up to visit, and the older guys I had, D Walt, Zach Irvin, Doc, Sean, Mark, Duncan, Mo, like they're all really great guys, and
Not
that
Doc. We
really
hate Doc.
yeah,
I'm kidding. I love Doc.
yeah. But yeah, you get it. Like
Yeah.
it's a great culture, and so that's the other reason why I wanted to go too.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. What was I going to ask you about? Oh, the difference between you have a unique position, I think, at a 5 spot. With the point guard spot, Beeline was kind of getting in. It was really starting to funnel into the ball screen stuff. That was started with Darius Morris and Trey, and it was really just a guard heavy. It's guard heavy basketball, right? You know that.
Mm-hmm.
With the 5 position, were you kind of getting the same pick and pop opportunities from junior, senior year? I know it was different sets and everything. Did you see your role drastically change? Or was it just kind of, you know, between sets, a system, and more freedom?
Obviously with Coach Beilein, there's a lot more sets. With Coach Howard's more freedom. So
Yep.
Coach Beilein would draw up plays like here and there, and like the 5 would like a lot of times pop. And obviously the option for me was to shoot it, but most times it was to like pass or whatever. So I did. Someone did say like between my junior and senior, like threes or the percentage went up, down or whatever. But with Coach Howard's, like I had the freedom to shoot it, but like just moving the ball like freely, like that's what I thought I did well in the G League. Like I
Mm-hmm.
pop, but like the guard has to stop like the stunt. Will we backdoor cut? I throw the ball to him or go throw the ball in the corner, another pick and roll. So always just moving and just freely like trying to read the defense, like depending on if there's a drop coverage, if they're double teaming, like just kind of reading that defense too. So it kind of depended who we played really too at the same time.
Yeah, that's true. It always does. You never know if you're playing against a 6'8" 5-man or a 7-foot 5-man in the Big Ten, or what that's going to look like, what their defense looks like. So yeah, it just kind of always changes. That is interesting. I got a million more questions for you, but maybe we can do that another time.
All
With
good.
like the differences. I love the minute details of everything. I think I could bore people between like the differences and everything. I've hammered away at it on this podcast, but it's very interesting. You'll never look at basketball the same. I think, especially
No,
going through Beeline, but definitely going through both.
yeah, I can't watch like ever since I'm watching film, like watching 45 minutes of film every day and him stopping the space bar after like a half second, like you haven't moved still, haven't moved, like,
Yeah, you
hey,
just
just give it a second and I move. Like that's what we'd always talk about. Like he's hitting the space bar every millisecond. Like you're still
yeah.
moving, you still like just play it and I do move. And
He
like
he broke a space bar on one of his laptops during my years. I mean, he wore it down so hard he was smacking it that he had to get a new laptop. I don't even think they could replace it. I think he broke the whole thing.
he's probably done that a couple times too
Probably,
now. So
probably. Okay, I got some a little bit of quick hitters, some not so quick hitters, maybe two and two to get you out of here. Um, First quick hitter, Skeeps or Ricks?
Skeeves.
That's my man. Yeah, I think you
Yeah.
everyone besides like one person has said Ricks. Somebody said both. Um, and actually, two more questions. So you had an interesting experience where your senior year was cut off. You know, the whole
Yeah.
NCAA tournament was canceled. So I asked everybody like what their last game felt like because it's very unique. It can be relief, it can be total sadness, it can be sadness a month later. You didn't really have much closure there. So, I mean, was it weird thing to end? Did you end up getting closure there? I know for me, some things took years for closure for certain aspects of my basketball career. Have you ever gotten closure with that? You just kind of move on? It seems like a very unique, odd experience.
I think at this point I've kind of moved on, but it was weird because I think that Thursday night we played in Nebraska. That was my senior night. So
Mm-hmm.
just all the emotions from that. And then we went to Maryland on that Sunday and we got killed by like 20 or 30. And yeah, my parents were there. My older sister Hannah, she was there, and I saw them. And like the world's still kind of normal. Like you heard of rumors, but like you're like, oh, this couldn't be anything. Like
Yeah.
we'll see you at the big. We'll see you at the Big Ten tournament. We were playing Thursday. We are playing Rutgers the first game at noon. So like we didn't think anything of it. I was like, yeah, I'll see you guys later. And then yeah, I went to the tournament. On the way there, we were busing there, and that's when we heard like Rudy Gobert and like the NBA got canceled. And we're like, all right, this is like strange. Like, there's no way we're playing, right? We wake up, do the whole routine,
Huh.
get there. They put the clock on. They say only family. That's when they changed it. Only family members could go.
Interesting.
We're warming up. It was a Banker's Life field house, just empty, empty. Like we're
Very
like, this
sad.
is weird. Austin Rutgers on the court. 10 minutes goes in, like is up. We go back in for the final talk. We come back out. They stop the clock at like 6, and like the refs and like the Big Ten meetings are having discussion. We're like looking around, like what? Families still aren't in there, so like that's weird too. There's like
Hmm.
5 minutes to tip off, no one's in there. That's when they tell us to get off the court, and yeah, that's when they canceled it. So like that was that. I was able to see my parents back in the hotel. They left after that. It was like a ghost town in downtown Indy. We left that we left that Thursday to go back to campus, and yeah, on that bus ride, I I broke down. I was like, that's when it hit me. I was like, I'm never gonna play again.
Yeah.
Um, and that was like the first time I broke down. And then then I came back here because like campus closed, so I came back here, and yeah, just like was like, wow, that's really it.
Yeah. You couldn't even get
Didn't
closure from leaving school.
yeah, I didn't. I didn't even go back to campus until that following year to go see one of my best friends.
Hmm.
And I didn't even go back to the gym until like 3 weeks ago when Michigan played Hawaii. They had a tailgate with some recruits, and that was the first time I was back at the gym since I left 2 years ago,
Damn.
which is crazy. Like obviously, like I couldn't go anyways just because of any games because of like my basketball
Yeah.
schedule. But like outside of it, like all of a sudden I just got up and left.
So weird.
So
It's so
it is,
strange. It's something.
and
Yeah.
yeah, just crazy because like how that ended my senior year. Well, the start of my freshman year, I was on the plane crash to DC with the team.
That was your freshman year?
Yeah.
That was
And
the
like
start.
just crazy to go from that winning the Big Ten tournament my freshman year, winning the Big Ten championship my sophomore year, going to the Final Four, then junior year starting 18-0,
Yeah.
then having the coaching change, and then going having the COVID year. Like my grandma's like, Jon, you've had a crazy 4 years. I didn't even think about that. And my grandma's like, you've had the most crazy like experience ever.
Yeah. It really is no wonder you're like, yeah, I've fulfilled 18 lifetimes worth of basketball.
Yeah,
It's
like I shouldn't even be this spot right now. And
right.
yeah, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
It is. It's a lot, man. It wears on you. Yeah, you've gone through enough. You're like, yeah, I did it. Everything I thought it would, you're like 6 years old and you're like, I can play till 40. And you're like, you get there and you're like, oh yeah, I basically did mentally. It was like three different
Yeah.
lifetimes worth of stuff. So yeah, that's crazy. You've had a crazy up and down. A couple more things. I found another question. So I always find this interesting. It's kind of on the spot, and it can either be your favorite college moment or one that just comes to you, one that kind of always just sticks out. It doesn't have to be a favorite, or maybe one that just you can come off the top of your head. Do you have one?
Um, I'd have to say my senior year, we went to the Battle for Atlantis or whatever. And
MVP.
yeah, won the MVP, but just not that. Like we were unranked. We beat Iowa
Yeah.
State. Like thought yeah, we could do that. And then we played North Carolina, and like I was like, oh wait, maybe we could beat that. We beat them by like 20. And like Gonzaga, oh no shot, we beat them. We beat them by 20. And just to go do it in the Bahamas, like in that term, my parents were there and my older sister was there, so like that was special too. And yeah, that was a lot of fun that tournament.
Yeah, I can imagine doing that because those are tough as it is. So like when they go bad, they can go real bad. Those types of like
Yeah,
trips. But then when I never won one of those, or let alone got an MVP one of those. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, you just kind of flipped on its head. You're like, you just completely owned it. I think that would probably be in one of my top moments.
yeah.
That is for sure.
Then the other one has to be Jordan Poole's shot
Oh man.
against Houston. Like I at that time, I think I told someone I was like, he's gonna hit it. Like Jordan's the type of kid that always hit those shots in practice. I think he hit one earlier in the week too. And like Coach Beilein, he always does those plays like after practice or whatever. Like, well, like it won't really work, but like a kid with that, like you never know. Like he has the capability of hitting it, and
Now
so
was that drawn up as a handoff, or was that just a decision between those two?
that was just kind of decision between those two. Like he has like that type of play, like where I think Muhammad's supposed to come up and dribble,
Yeah.
but like somehow Jordan like came behind and like he just like flipped it to him. And the funny thing is, I think Ibby Watson's in that play, and like he like you can see him like coming closer to the camera, and like in the film the next day or 2 days later, Coach Bill's like, "What are you doing, Ibby?" And like Coach like we just made a shot, like, and he's worried about us not drawing up the play correctly. Like, that's just shows you where Coach Beilein's head
Yes.
was at.
Oh yeah, big
So
time. We've had a couple of those moments where you think you're like doing great or like nothing's really wrong, you're not doing anything, and it's like, yeah, that's you just did that completely wrong. This is all wrong, even though you scored
yeah,
3 points there. Yeah.
yeah.
Last question. I ask everybody to end it. What is one thing that you learned, whether from somebody else or just through your own experiences, that you still at Michigan, your time at Michigan, your 4 years, that you still carry with you to this day?
Um, I mean, I think just the experience that you get going to Michigan and the culture you're around. Um, Obviously, going to my freshman year, I didn't really know what to expect, but like
Mm,
you see the older guys as juniors and seniors, the culture that they build, and like how they've always won, and like their hard work, dedication, and the time they put into it. You coming in as freshman, you don't really know or understand that, and then as I grew older and as I started to win and like just grow, not just on and off the court, like I understood. I could see where they got it from, and so as a junior senior, I wanted to replicate what the older guys did when I was a freshman, and so like I want to show the younger guys um, what kind of what it means to be a Michigan man and the culture, and I think that's just kind of revolving door that now Michigan basketball has the last 10, 12 years now, and so I mean I think it'll continue as well, but I don't know, just kind of watching and learning and growing and yeah, I don't know if that really answers your question, but
no, definitely.
it's
Yeah.
unique if you're not in it or been a part of it, but if you have like if you've been around it, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. No, that's the importance of learning from the people before you and then passing it on.
Hmm.
It's very important. We romanticize it all the time in college sports, but it's a lot easier said than done. So yeah, I totally understand what you're saying.
And definitely with Michigan, like you don't see guys going one and done. Like obviously, I think Iggy was one and done. Jordan was there for 2 years.
Mm,
Like maybe guys are there for 2 years, like 2 years, but like most of the guys there are 3, 4, 5 years. Like Eli Brooks was what 6 years. He's one of my
yeah,
good friends. I was like, they were
yeah,
calling him like Graham or something. Austin Davis, he was like 6 years. So like
yeah,
people that go to Michigan, they're staying 4 or 5 years, and so I think that's huge.
yeah, definitely, definitely. You'll have those guys will come in 1 year, 2 years, but yeah, those 4 or 5 years guys, those are your solid, your building blocks. Those are very important. Jon,
Yeah,
I really,
definitely.
yeah, Jon, I really appreciate you, man. I really do hope we can get you back on here down the road. I had literally a whole list full of questions for you that we didn't get into, but I really appreciate you
Awesome.
coming on and
No
feeling
problem.
comfortable talking about your
Yeah,
next steps. Best of luck
yeah,
with everything. I have no doubt that you'll be successful in it. And yeah, hopefully we can talk again soon.
yeah. Cool. No, I appreciate it, and thanks for letting me come on and talk with you.